Hello and welcome to the Kaiju is in the Details. I'm Ian.
I'm Haru.
And this time we continue with 1957 with The Deadly Mantis. Haru, what did you think of this movie?
It was...
It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. It's another terrible American sci-fi movie. Thank you, America. This one was so boring. I didn't really write very many notes, honestly. I don't know. Do you write notes at all, Haru? I actually don't know
that. I just go off of whatever was the most memorable about the movie. I remember it.
This movie starts with a lot of stock footage. And well, particularly it just starts with like zooming in and out on a map and like going over the map a lot. Very map-based intro.
Probably the most boring introduction to any of the kaiju movies that we've seen so far, and that's saying something.
Quite possibly one of the most boring movie introductions of all time, and that includes like films like what is it called? Is it called The Color Blue? I think it's called The Color Blue, where it's just all blue and there's nothing but blue. At least that film is an art film about how I think it was AIDS made the guy lose his sight, and so all he could see was blue.
You know, at least that one's saying something with its intro.
This one's saying nothing, except there's one. I was gonna say like, well, at least like when we were watching the film, I was gonna say at least there's no narration, and then as soon as I thought to say that, narration comes in and says, for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. What does that have to do with this movie? The only thing it has to do with this movie is the fact that the movie starts with a volcano erupting in the South Pacific, I think, and it causes the mantis to wake up in the Arctic?
Yeah, like... I think that's all that phrase is referencing is like why the mantis woke up in the first place. It has nothing to do with any of the rest of the movie.
This movie is not interested in explaining why the mantis is awake or exists in any way, shape, or form. It's a prehistoric monster, and it was asleep in the Arctic ice. That's all you get. Nobody woke it up. It just woke up on its own because of a volcanic eruption or some shit. It's like, there are no themes here. Leave.
It also, like, it feels like it jumps to the point where, like, it doesn't bother to explain a lot of reasoning for, like, the decision, like, what leads from point A to point B through the plot. It's just like, we have a paleontologist character we need to introduce. How are we going to introduce it? Oh, well, how about this military guy suggest we contacted this paleontologist? And it's like, what got him to the conclusion where a paleontologist would be helpful right now? I don't know.
The only reason they even think to do that is because they find this material that kind of looks like a fossil, maybe. But it's from a living creature, so it doesn't look like a fossil at all. It's just big. I do like the styrofoam claw, I will say. I like the props in this movie.
I mean, like, it's... Maybe it would look a little bit different if, like, it was in person and more, like, I could see more details of it, but, like, I don't know. To me, if I saw something like that, my first thought wouldn't be, oh, this was from a living creature. My first thought would be, like, oh, some weird unknown object.
I think that is part of just like they couldn't make the prop look out like they wanted it to.
Yeah.
Because the prop is very clearly made of styrofoam. The whole creature is made of styrofoam, but the creature itself looks a lot better than that one prop does. Here, let's talk about positives. Let's be positive for a moment. This movie's effects are actually really cool. I think the mantis prop looks awesome. It's a little dorky, like it's a little fucking wonky. Kind of like the ones from Them, but it looks better than the one from Them, I would say. Mainly because they only had to make one of it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it has so much articulation makes it a little bit awkward. They're trying to maneuver this massive puppet because they made it to scale, right? They didn't like, well, at least to a certain degree, they made it to scale. Rather than making everything else scale to it, because they wanted to have scenes where it's like bearing down on some guys that are standing there, which is like a big difference between American and Japanese sci-fi or kaiju films that we've been watching. The American ones seem to be obsessed with like a crowd of people staring down the monster, whereas in Japan, the crowd of people run away from the monster because the monster is so incredibly big you couldn't possibly stare it down.
Yeah.
Not that you could stare down this mantis either, but at least you can throw some gas bombs at it at the end of the movie and kill it.
Actually, speaking of staring down the monster, I want to say like something that I actually like about what this movie did is like it was a little bit cheesy, sure, but like the ending actually felt like a conclusion to me instead of it like, or not entirely, but like more so than a lot of the other American kaiju movies we've seen so far, where it's just like we killed the monster at the end.
Yeah, and they do like a fake out. Oh, the monster's still alive, but then it's like, oh, it's the automatic response of the dead insect, which is like something dead insects do.
Yeah,
like they move around after you kill them, and that's actually kind of clever.
Mm-hmm.
Which is for a movie that's not particularly clever in any other respect, is pretty impressive. Like we talked about in Rodan, you know, these ancient dragonflies. I wonder how recent a discovery those were, because this movie is also playing on the ancient dragonflies, and it's like, well, what if there was an ancient mantis too?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a really interesting coincidence that these happen to be coming around the same time.
Yeah, like, yeah, it's a neat comparison. Also, like,
no, they were discovered way before this movie.
I don't know. I just liked the mantis. The mantis is kind of cool. Like
I guess there was a revision in 1943. Okay, so there's no connection there. It's just a happy coincidence. Weird, but yeah, well, yeah, I agree. Like I think the mantis is really cool. Actually, the flying mantis does not look as good.
Mm-hmm.
The flying model, but the same holds true for Rodan, frankly. So
yeah, like also kind of like didn't occur to me, like I kind of forgot that mantises could fly, and and like I was like, okay, how's this thing gonna get around? How do they lose track of it? Oh, because it literally flies.
Yeah, no, it's freaky. It's freaky that things. I hate when bugs that big can fly, dude. I hate it so much. It's not right. Roaches should not be able to fly. Fuck off.
Yeah, like flies alone are annoying, and like they're fine other than the fact that they're
if you
annoying.
Are bigger than a nickel, you should not be allowed to fly as an insect.
Yeah. And especially if you're shaped different from just like being bulbous.
Yeah. I think that's part of what makes the mantis flying prop look bad, is that mantises flying look bad.
Yeah.
Like they're not supposed to do that. What the fuck? And while we're keeping on the praise, there is an incredible shot in this film where the mantis is climbing the Washington Monument.
Yeah.
And they use a screening effect of a real mantis, and the screening effect is perfection. It looks incredible. You know, now that I think about it, I think the mantis prop is not actually to scale. It's more to scale than it would be in a Godzilla film.
Mm-hmm.
But they do a screening at the end of the movie. They do that fake out ending. They have to do a screening shot for it. And if it was actually the scale, they wouldn't have had to do that.
Yeah.
Also, they didn't, as far as I can tell, based on the way it's shot in the movie, they didn't make the full prop, so the back end of the praying mantis doesn't exist, because they keep having to cut the film before it reaches that part of the bug. They never show you anything past the first, I think it's like the first couple of legs. You never see the third leg or anything beyond that.
Yeah. Like, you see the most you see is like the head, the weird forearms, whatever you call those, and like
Pincers, I guess.
Like so there is when the mantis is crawling over the Washington Monument, you see like it does show the mantis like through the window as its body crawls over it, but like it's basically just reusing the same footage over and over again to show that it's a long bug.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually show the entire thing.
Oh shit. Okay, so I'm looking at the Wikipedia page here. So that thing is paper mache, actually. I thought it was styrofoam like the other piece was, but no, that's paper mache. That explains why it looks better.
You know, it's funny you mention that, because I was actually thinking when I first saw the mantis prop, I'm like, that kind of looks like paper mache.
And it's actually not puppeted. It's a hydraulics system.
Huh.
So it's more animatronic than it is puppeted. It's 200 feet long and 40 feet high, a wingspan of 150 feet. Is that the... Wait, are they talking about the... With the wingspan thing, are they talking about the other one? Did they actually make the full thing and then make a flying version? There's no way. There's no way they did that. These... No, yeah, two smaller models were created, one 6 feet and one 1 foot. These were used for scenes where the mantis walked or flew.
Okay.
Then what was the... Those are the two things that it does. What is the big one used for? I guess for scenes where it's just standing there? What? And then, yeah, shots of the real praying mantis were used for the mantis climb.
I mean, like, maybe it was... maybe they did use the full size model for, like, the final scene.
Yeah, I could see that. And they have the hydraulics to make the claw do its thing.
Yeah.
Huh. Any other positives? I feel like there's not really.
So there's a trope I'm discovering that I love in any kaiju movie that has it. It's like one of my favorite kaiju tropes. And that's when the monster is looking through a window at one of the characters.
See, I was gonna save that for when we talk about the bad parts of the movie, but you know,
I love it though. Like it's
it's such an awkward scene the way they've laid it out. Just like it's staring at her, and like nobody's noticing it. They're just walking back and forth and going.
I love it for two different reasons. I love it for both just the general comedic effect of like, you know, like, I don't know, there's just something funny about just this giant bug looking in through a window at a tiny little person. But also, like, if you are trying to take the scene seriously, it also kind of conveys this, like, it's like... In this case, this is the first time that these characters actually see the mantis firsthand. And it's like, that moment is the moment where it finally dawns on them the exact sense of scale that they're working with. It's like, oh my god, it's a giant bug.
Yeah, even like as I think in that scene, they're trying to just figure out how big it could be.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. They're like discussing what size it could be.
But
and,
yeah.
they quickly find out.
I don't know. I just think more kaiju films should have that scene where the monster is looking in the window at a character.
Well, you will get it. you will get it. Let's talk about the cast real quick. So we have, I guess, three main characters. I think here's one thing. I say like there's three main characters. Are there three main characters, Haru? Are there three main characters, or are there no main characters? I feel like this movie has no main characters for the first half of the movie, at least.
For the first half, I would probably agree. Like, yeah, like the first arc of the story, of the plot, just feels very much like the main character is just like the U.S. military, or like
a collective protagonist, perhaps.
Yeah.
Ooh, we're bringing back words. It's the reverse of them. It's got a collective protagonist first, and then it goes to three protagonists.
Mm-hmm.
Although, because of that weird structure, I feel like you don't really get to know these characters very well.
Yeah, no, you definitely don't. Like,
you've got the military one, you've got the paleontologist one, and you've got the girl one.
And, like, honestly, and maybe they mentioned it early and I just didn't notice, but, like, for the entire first half of the movie, I was like, what is this girl's role? Like, what does she do that is the reason why she's here in the first place? And it's like, oh, she's a photographer. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it really takes a long time to figure out what she is. I don't even know why she knows the paleontologist. I guess they were working together for a book about the history of life on Earth or something.
Dinosaurs and early humans.
Dinosaurs. But yeah, she's played by Alex Talton, best known as the catty career woman in the Bill Haley musical Rock Around the Clock.
Ah.
She was also in You're in the Army Now, if you know that one. She was in The Man Who Knew Too Much. She was in the Deadly Mantis. There's not much here. I don't recognize any of these except for You're in the Army Now. I do know that one. Also, most of these say uncredited, which is a good sign.
Honestly, though, like, I think she did a good job.
Yeah, she did fine. The movie hates her, but you know.
She was. Oh yeah, no, like she's kind of set up as a punchline for a lot of jokes in the movie, but like, as far as any of the other characters go, I think hers has the best acting.
Yeah, probably. She's like got the ability to deliver lines in an interesting way, which puts her above everyone else.
Like, she's got this kind of, like, accent that, like, is it a mid-Atlantic accent, or is it, like, something slightly else? Like, I feel like she's kind of got a New England accent going on.
I'll be honest, I have completely forgotten what she sounds like. It's completely purged from my mind.
But either way, like, I don't know, there's just, like, her delivery is good, her, like, and despite the misogynistic, like, portrayal of her as a woman among all these, like, military men who have never seen a woman in their entire life,
yeah.
Like, she kind of, like, I think the actor does a really good job of, like, reacting to those scenes.
Can we talk about the fact that they literally wolf whistle at her?
Yeah.
They do a literal wolf whistle at her. Dog.
The whole thing, the whole thing with her being surrounded by men who are so obviously craving the touch of a woman are like, like that whole thing just made me so uncomfortable.
Also, she does kind of like date half of them, right?
Yeah.
She goes through several of them at least, and then ends up with the commander,
Corporal, right?
Colonel, COL, Joe Parkman.
It was either Corporal or Colonel. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was Colonel.
That's what the Wikipedia says, but who knows? Maybe he got a upgrade in the movie. He was played by Craig Stevens, best known as Peter Gunn. Wow, now. Wow, wow, now. The joke here is that Peter Gunn is only known for its theme song. Nobody watched Peter Gunn, I don't think. They just listened to the theme song because it's a banger. It's a good theme song.
Yeah.
And to round out our group of three, we have William Hopper, another Perry Mason alumni. He played Paul Drake. And you can kind of tell that he's a TV actor because he kind of overacts a little bit, I would say.
Yeah.
He gets very shouty in this movie about like nothing in particular. And that's the main characters of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't think any of these other none of these other characters. Oh my god, none of these other characters matter, and also their Wikipedia pages aren't really giving me anything to work with, except for the fact that I went to. So Professor Anton Gunther, I don't remember who the hell that was in the movie, but I clicked on the page for their actor Florence Ames, and I get the French Wikipedia page for them. Cet article est une ébauche concernant un acteur américain.
Huh.
So it's about, the page is about an American actor. I don't know why it's in French. The only article for it is in French.
Maybe there's a cult following of this movie in France.
Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. Okay, do you remember the dorky like guy, the corporal?
Mm-hmm.
This is the corporal, the dorky corporal who makes the faces and stuff.
Gotcha. I was mixing up the two characters.
Yeah. So you remember him? Apparently he's a sitcom guy. He's
okay.
He was a character actor and a sitcom guy known for his stupid faces.
That makes sense.
Okay. Why is he in this movie then? Get out of here. This was awesome. Floyd Simmons as Army Sergeant. No name. He's just Army Sergeant. And the only reason he's in here is because he has a Wikipedia page. Because he's an American athlete and actor, born in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Huh.
Charlotte's a nice place. And then we have Paul Campbell, who was in things. Oh, this was his last movie. Okay.
What a way to end your career.
Okay. Haru. Let's talk about all the ways this film sucks. It's boring.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly boring. It's the most boring film we've watched so far, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think there was maybe one other movie we watched that was slightly more boring, but
Snow Creature, maybe.
Yeah.
I could see Snow Creature being more boring than this. It's been a while, but I could see it.
Yes.
I think when the mantis is on screen, it's usually okay.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to the Snow Creature, where the Snow Creature itself was also boring.
Part of, I kind of instantly knew that the movie was gonna be boring when
when it started boring.
The intro started by being boring and just showing us a map and having no narration except for this random little bit of narration for no reason.
That's one thing. That's one thing you got to hand to them. The intro of your movie should set up expectations for what the audience can expect to see for the rest of the movie, and it did effectively establish expectations of how boring the movie is.
And like you said, like the moments where the mantis on screen is probably fine because the least boring part of the intro was the part where the mantis was cracking out of its iceberg.
I think this movie is bad. No, that's not what I want to say. I think the reason this movie is boring is because of poor construction.
Yeah.
It's very disjointed in the beginning, and then it like solidifies into something at the end. What it solidifies into isn't really that interesting, and you didn't have enough time to establish it because the first half of the movie is disjointed. It's why would you make a movie like this?
Well,
you should establish your characters at the beginning of the movie.
I think a degree, like part of the why is, like you kind of see it at the very, very end of the movie, at the end of the credits, is that this is basically a military propaganda film.
Yeah.
Because, like, there is way more than there's focus on character development. There's just so much focus on military structure and, like, communications with other military bases about things.
And like a lecture on our radar systems to the north. And the way they are talking about it makes it sound like they're invading the North Pole for some reason. It was very strange.
Yeah. So, like, I think the movie just doesn't care about what makes a movie interesting, because what they wanted to do is just, like, be like, hey, this is how cool it is to be in the military, except for the fact you never get to see women.
And the worst part is all that military footage they spend so much time showing you is fucking stock footage from other movies. Like Guardians All, One Plane, One Bomb, and SFP-308. Also, you remember the Inuit scene where the mantis attacks an Inuit village? Stock footage from the movie SOS Iceberg. That was the most obvious use of stock footage I've ever seen, honestly. Because it looks nothing like the rest of the movie. And it's all like in fast motion for some reason.
Yeah.
To make it look like they're running faster, I guess. Because there's a bug that they don't actually see.
Yeah,
they're running, for whatever reason they're running in the movie.
They're just looking up at the sky, and we're like, oh, are they looking up at the sky? And the next thing we know, they're in their kayaks.
And the only reason you know they're running away from the mantis is because of the sound of the mantis flying overhead.
Yep. Also, speaking of mantis sounds, this is another case
Noisy
of
mantis.
Another case of them making a bug that like makes sounds that bugs don't make, because bugs don't really make sounds.
At first, it was just going to be like. At first, it seemed like they were just going to do like the bug drones when it flies, and that's the noise it makes. That's cool. That's real noises bugs make. But then they get to the scenes where the mantis is like roaming around, walking around and shit, and it just starts roaring. It just like goes rah, rah. It's like, what the fuck are we doing? You don't have the vocal cords to do that.
Yeah.
Woof. Not good. Not good. This was the first science fiction film made by the director. You know what? That makes a lot of sense. Who has said he came up with the idea for the opening sequence. so we know who to blame.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do that? Why would you admit to coming up with that opening sequence? Haru, can you guess what the budget for this film was? And remember, it's 1957, so think of 1957 monies.
I'm gonna guess 50,000.
Oh, no. Add 300 to that. 350,000. Now, Haru, this is a Universal International picture, so it does have a bigger backer.
Yeah.
Haru, guess for me, my love, what the box office for this film is.
I'm guessing they didn't make their 350,000 back.
You would think that, wouldn't you? They made $1 million.
What?
They made $1 million off of this. They more than doubled their investment. It was a double feature though, with a spy film apparently for some reason.
Okay.
The Girl in the Kremlin. I can't believe this thing has. Actually, no, never mind. I was about to say I can't believe this thing has has twice the budget, more than twice the budget of Kronos. But then I was like, no, wait, I actually can entirely believe that because this has much better effects.
Yeah.
It looks about like twice about the amount of budget was put into the effects. Yeah.
Was there anything notable about like the music in the film?
No.
Because I don't think there was.
No, it was all just the boring standard American shit that's all inspired by beats from 20,000 Fathoms, but doesn't have any of the kick of that movie, even though that movie I thought was not particularly enthralling either as far as the music goes.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, it's still worse than that. I want to blow up every single man in this movie with my brain.
Yeah.
I think this movie is, in line with Kronos, one of the most sexist films we've watched in this endeavor through the kaiju film. It's crazy. What were people on in 1957 specifically?
That's a good question. Probably a buttload of cocaine.
Every single romance scene in this movie is gross because we've seen all these men be gross the entire movie.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of, the scene where the guy is kissing her in the car in, the middle of the night.
Ugh.
You just look at her body language and
She's
literally
like, no,
her
no,
language.
no.
She's like, hey, the light's green. And he's like, oh, baby, we can make out.
He's like, oh, you can't go because of the fog. It's dangerous to drive. And she's like, no, we could go. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
Blowing you up in my mind. Scanner style.
Oh my god. So many red flags about a lot of the men in this movie.
And then at the end of the movie, when the mantis is dead, they're all like, hey, go take a picture of it, picture lady. And she's kind of nervous about it because the creature's a fucking monster and it ate several people, lots of people. And it took forever to kill it. So how do you know it's fucking dead?
Yeah.
And so she's nervous about it, and they all go, she's nervous about the damn thing. And then it does the fucking autonomic nervous response thing and scares her and the guy. And then the fucking doctor is still like, it's definitely dead. Dummies. And then she's like, okay, I guess I'll take my pictures now. And then the military guy, who is apparently her love interest, is like, no, let's make out instead. Ned'll take the pictures, the paleontologist guy. And he throws her camera at Ned.
Yeah.
Expensive fucking camera, dude. Don't do that shit. And then Ned's like, ha, 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 and takes a picture of them kissing. And I want the people who made this movie to explode. I want to reanimate their bodies because they're all dead by now, and I want to explode them. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it so much, Haru.
Yeah.
Haru, help me resurrect these people so I can kill them. Help me, Haru. You're my only choice. Or chance. Or hope.
Like, I thought this movie... Like, I thought the worst the movie was gonna throw at us with the, like, misogyny would just be, like, that very first character that we see when they go to the military base who's like, it's a real-life woman. And I'm like, okay.
And that was so bad. It was so bad.
And then everyone comes to ogle at her, and I'm like, oh.
And then one of them comes up to her and is like, that's all, folks. No, he's like, can I take you out of the dance, man? It's the funny guy with the funny faces. And
yeah.
Haru. Fuck, dude. I don't like this. I don't like it, Haru.
I hope all of them got eaten by a mantis.
Certainly some amount of them did, right?
Yeah.
Surely. Do you remember when the paleontologist pulls up a beetle?
Yes.
What kind of beetle would you say that is, Haru?
I
don't know what kind it is. It's got like a, I want to say it's a Hercules beetle, but it's not. No. Hercules beetle have like an extra horn.
Yeah,
this has the stag, right? Stag beetle?
Yeah, stag beetle, I would say.
Because it's got the two horns like a stag to wrestle with other bugs. So he pulls up a stag beetle that has been embedded in glass. It's very clearly glass because if it was amber, it would be a little less. It would be more opaque. Amber is not like unless you get like absolutely perfect amber, which is like not really possible. Amber is going to have some impurities in it that'll cause it to be more cloudy than this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very clearly a stag beetle embedded in glass. And he holds it up and he's like, now this ant is embedded in amber. Like I know they can't show it. Everyone, an ant's tiny; it wouldn't show up on the film very well. Mm-hmm. But also, they're trying to show it's like a prehistoric ant, like it's a big ant, you know?
Yeah.
They're trying to show all the insects were bigger back then. But you could have picked something that looked more like an ant.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't look anything like an ant at all.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I mean, like, in the moment, I was trying to give benefit of the doubt of, like, okay, yes, okay, so obviously they are using, like, just a prop that is not what they're actually referring to. Like, it'd be like if someone wanted to refer to a dog, but they didn't have a dog on hand, so they just held up the cat that they have as a pet and is like, see this dog. I don't know.
Or if perhaps, for example, you took a bunch of dogs and put like shag carpeting on them and then said that they were killer shrews.
Yes. There we go.
If you haven't seen Attack of the Killer Shrews, it's a classic.
Yeah. So yeah, it's something like that where like they didn't have,
or it's just Killer Shrews. Yeah.
Like they didn't have a dog-sized shrew on hand, so they just
got a dog.
Took a dog and put a shrew costume on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's like the same principle with the stag beetle in glass.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be an ant in amber, but like At that point, I mean,
Oh, you know what would have helped with that is if I don't know, they might have just had the thing in the glass already, and they're like, okay, let's use this. But if they are the ones who put it in the glass, if they could have sawed off those fucking stag antlers, that would have
mm-hmm,
helped. I feel like to make it look more like an ant.
yeah,
I still would have a fucking beetle carapace, but you know, it would have been something.
yeah.
And you know, like for those who are worried about animal rights, it's already dead. It's encased in glass.
Mm-hmm.
Sawing off the fucking antlers is going to make it more dead. It's already pretty dead. Uh, so yeah, there's like, that's like charming. Honestly, I find that funny more than it
Mm-hmm.
is a sign of a bad movie. No, the bad movie is just the fact that it is just discombobulated. It just doesn't flow in any way, shape, or form, and that causes boredom. Boredom springs from poor construction.
Mm-hmm.
Why did the movie start with every action is the equal opposite reaction? Man, there's like, I guess we're talking themes now because what else is there to talk about anymore? But like, when you start your movie with a quote, I feel like the quote should say something about the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? For every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. Only describes how the mantis wakes up, and the first reaction or action that causes the reaction is a volcano exploding, which we have no bearing on at all.
And like,
What is this movie about?
also, like, is it even an equal opposite reaction? Like, is an exploding volcano equal to a giant super soldier bug that eats people?
Well, you see, volcano hot, Arctic cold.
Um, yeah.
That's it. That's the only thing that makes any sense is that the volcano hot, Arctic cold equal opposite.
Also, I will say, one one thing about this movie that's at least a little bit unique is radiation has nothing to do with anything in this movie.
No
Um,
radiation at all. This was not our fault. We were just, setting up radar systems in the Arctic to prepare for a Soviet invasion across the North Pole. Yeah, man, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna invade through the North Pole. They're gonna use icebreaker ships to go across the North Pole and land in Canada and go all the way through the fucking Yukon to go get through and then get through Quebec and all those places and then finally reach America where they're going to start their invasion of America after they've gone through all of Canada. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen for sure.
you know what? N- Now that I think, now that I think about the whole setup and everything, and how this movie is portrayed compared to others that we've seen, I think the message of the movie is like, if something bad happens to us, it's not our fault. Cause like literally, there was no reason the mantis happened. It was just nature taking nature's course, and all of a sudden a giant mantis appeared and started eating people. It had nothing to do with the follies of experimentation or like the reasons why we should be careful about our nuclear testing. No, nothing to do with that. It's literally just, sometimes nature makes a giant bug that eats you.
Mm-hmm. 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 Uh, Haru, you remember back in our Rodan episode where I said you're a stupid fucking moron, idiot, dribble brain dipshit if you think that Rodan is the Soviet Union?
Hmm.
the Deadly Mantis is the Soviet Union. I think that's what it is, right? Because it establishes at the beginning of the movie that all this radar system is to prevent an invasion from the Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Mantis appears, and it gets caught by the radar system, and it starts attacking Americans, and then it goes to fucking DC and attacks the Washington Monument. Right? Like,
yeah,
it's the Soviet Union.
Yeah, I can see.
It's a fucking Red Scare picture. God damn it.
Yeah, I think you're right, honestly. Like, I mean, it's perfect for the time period. It's perfect for literally everything else to do with the film, with how big of a boner it has for military protocol and stuff.
Yeah.
It's gotta be anti-Soviet, like... I mean, like...
And Americans are just so predisposed with fucking Soviet fears.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even gonna say in this time period. They're still predisposed with them.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the reaction to Mamdani winning the primary in New York City for mayor. It's caused everyone to lose their fucking shit. And he's just a fucking Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
Like with progressive ideas instead of a dinosaur.
Yeah.
A sex pest dinosaur like fucking Cuomo.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
so
for real.
The Red Scare is not over. There's
it's deeply infected the minds and soul of this country. Just like generations went through experiencing like the whole like Cold War with the Soviet Union and like McCarthyism and like everything that built up to basically be like ingrained in this country's very culture that communism bad.
Mm-hmm. There are people actively saying you should flee New York in the wake of this socialist mayor. This like it's crazy, dude. It's crazy, dude. What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh man. So yeah, it's a Cold War pick. I think we've had like a lot of Atomic Fears movies. But I think this is our first one where it's like this is a direct allegory for the Soviet Union, which is kind of interesting. It's not going to be our last. There will certainly be more, but I guess this is our first foray.
Yep.
I wish it was our last. I feel like the ones that are just about the Soviet Union invading are boring. They don't really have anything else to say. And oh boy, be scared of the Soviet Union is not a particularly interesting take.
Yeah.
Especially like now, it ages rather poorly.
Yeah.
Well, is that it? Any last thoughts? Any other thoughts? I need to look through my notes and see if I have anything else. Oh, at the beginning of the movie, they have this like dramatic reveal of claw marks, I guess.
Oh,
what the fuck was going on there? That was so weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, to me, it looked like basically a dinosaur claw. Like, you know, it had the shape of, like, you know, you got the long back heel and the 3 toes pointing out. Like, it literally looked like the shape of a dinosaur foot. And...
yeah.
Like... Going back again to, like, something I said earlier about, like, where the plot just kind of jumps from point to point without there being, like, a logical progression to it. like they notice that in the snow, and like their first thought is like, huh, some creature must have made this.
Yeah. And it's just like a gash in the snow underneath the snow that they brush off from it, which is like, it makes me go like, is it, wait, what? Is it a gash in the ice, I guess? Underneath the snow?
Like it would
I was
have to
so
be, I
very
think,
confused.
'cause, like it would
How
have
would
to
it stay?
be in the
How would it
ice,
keep its shape?
because like later on, doesn't the paleontologist come and look at those
Yeah,
exact
that's true.
same
It, like,
footprints?
how would it keep its shape like that? It must be ice, I guess. Ah, what a weird thing. I don't get it. Like, it's like, ah, yes, this is a clue to the creature, a big claw mark, and it's like, dude, do praying mantises tend to leave giant claw marks in threes like that? Like,
Yeah.
what? Huh? Huh?
Actually, you know what? I need to look this up. What does the praying mantis foot look like? Because I think I might actually have like little toes
Three
like that.
claws and it three giant claws on its feet, on its peats, whittled peats.
Praying mantis foot. Hmm. It's not the best picture, but honestly, I don't see it anywhere. Like even
We need a Pokedex entry where it shows
yeah,
us the footprint.
like I mean, this is just like a basic image of a praying mantis here. Let me like this is just a basic image of a praying mantis I found on Google, and like I don't see what would have made that shape.
Yeah, because like, yeah, the praying mantis has a lot of little claws on their feet that help them stick to things,
Mm-hmm.
but they're arranged linearly instead of across like a fucking dinosaur footprint.
Yeah. Also,
I don't know. It was very strange.
speaking of the praying mantis foot or feet or whatever, like what was the thing?
That was broken off of them.
Well, no, like what was the weird thing that was on the front of the praying mantis's?
Oh yeah, on the
Like,
claw.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually something praying mantises do have, but it doesn't look like that, really. It
Uh-huh.
it like if you look at some pictures of a praying mantis, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's got this little hanging on part that goes way past where the claw would you'd think stop,
Mm-hmm.
and so too does the giant deadly mantis. But because of poor construction, it kind of just looks like a rope.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a really sturdy rope, which is unfortunate.
By the way, I just have to say, like, bugs in general do freak me out, but praying mantises are honestly kind of cool.
They're friends. Praying
Like,
mantises are friends.
I would be terrified if one flew at me, but
I would be terrified if a bird flew at me. Like,
yeah.
I don't want things flying at me.
But yeah, just in general, like I think praying mantises are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I guess that's my final thought.
We like Scyther here. We agree. That's the end, I think.
Yay.
Is that the end? Is that the end? Oh, one more thing. Oh, two more things. Here we go. The flamethrower effect.
Oh yeah.
In the Arctic fight against the mantis, when the mantis first appears to the people, they have a flamethrower shooting at it, and it's drawn on, but it's drawn on very convincingly. I think it even might be a mix between some amount of actual flamethrower and some amount of drawing on, because it is really good. It looks really good. There's just like a couple of scenes where you can tell it's drawn on,
Mm-hmm.
particularly when they do the effect of it actually hitting the mantis, and that looks a little fakey. And then there's the scene on the other end of the spectrum. We have the scene where the flying mantis is dodging or being hit with missiles,
Mm-hmm.
and the missiles don't look like they're connecting at all, and yet sometimes they are connecting, and it just looks really bad all around. It looks like the missiles are drawn over top of the mantis. Like, it's not good. They did not really do a convincing job of putting them into the scene.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't help that the mantis itself also looks bad in the flying form.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate. Real. As far as the effects go, it's like real feast or famine. The rest of the movie is mostly famine, but the effects are very feast or famine. Lots of good ones in here, lots of really bad ones. But that's more than I can say for some films. So,
Mm-hmm.
but of course, those American effect films, they are so much better than the Japanese ones. Okay, I'll stop. Anything else, Haru?
I don't think so. I don't have anything else on the movie to talk about.
Well, then, thank you so much for listening. Next time, it'll be 20 Million Miles to Earth, a Ray Harryhausen film, and one I've seen recently, and it's a lot better than this one. It's a lot better than this one, so a brief break from dog shit for a while, and we'll actually get to enjoy a movie.
Yay.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, or listening. You can find this anywhere podcasts are found, including YouTube at thempodian, where you can have a little video to go along with it. You can use that to show your friends where we're at. And that is the way that podcasts grow. So the more you show you with your friends, the more the podcast will grow, and the better we'll be able to do things, because we'll be able to survive. Well, like, once we're actually getting a lot of people in here, supporting our Patreons and stuff like that, we could actually, live. Haru, where can people find you?
I'm Haru Hayes. You can find me on Twitch. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Discord. My Blue Sky is haru.vspire.live. And currently I'm doing, or trying to at least, my body didn't cooperate with me this week because I got sick. But I've been trying to do a fundraising campaign for the ACLU through a campaign called VTubers Against Ice, which has a whole bunch of different VTubers cooperating to raise money to support the ACLU and stand up against ICE. And I think so far the campaign's raised over like $7,500 or something like that. So by all means, if you're looking to support that, you can donate to ACLU directly, or you can just search like hashtag VT versus ICE. That's the hashtag that we're using. And you'll find anyone who is streaming to support the campaign.
And I am Vampire Iain, vampire VTuber and card game extraordinaire. You can find my main channel, Vampire Iain, where I post video essays, mostly of the Yu-Gi-Oh variety, but also some of the non-Yu-Gi-Oh variety. We got a Godzilla ones in the works, so if you like kaijus, there's also Tomb of Vampire Iain, where I do my stream VODs, where I stream on Twitch, and then I upload the VODs to YouTube. So there's also Twitch, Vampire Iain. Tomb of Vampire Iain also has Sleep Aid Let's Plays and other Let's Plays as well. And then, of course, there is Thempodian, where you can find this podcast and any other podcasts I may do in the future. And then, of course, there's Yuri Riot, my music project, which is going to be having a big release soon, so keep an eye out for that. With that said, Haru, are you ready to say goodbye to the Deadly Mantis?
Yeah.
Sayonara, Deadly Mantis.
Sayonara, Deadly Mantis.
less deadly, more boring.